Music. It's not just part of our daily lives, it's part of our wrestling fandom as well, and it has been for decades. That's where this show comes in. Music of the Mat, the podcast devoted exclusively to the music of pro wrestling, hosted by Andrew Rich. Hey, that's me. Each episode delivers a different topic with a variety of great guests, fun conversations, musical analysis, and of course, a heartfelt pun or two. New episodes drop every other Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast app of choice. Check out Music of the Mat only on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you work your A game. A made no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This isn't A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you work your A game. A made no rain from the track when we unite.
Hey now, it's the Mike and JD show, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm joined as always by JD by God Oliva. How you doing, JD?
I was just telling you before the show, man, I'm tired. I just checked my Fitbit stats today, and I'm at 30,000 steps. I'm at 142 zone minutes. I burned over 5,000 calories today. I'm wiped, man. I'm exhausted. I might pass out in the middle of the podcast today.
That would make for a good video show. Radio, not so much, but it would make good for the YouTube if you just collapsed at some point. We could clip that. I think it would go viral. I think that would be good for the show. I think that would create a lot of success for us. So if you want to do that, feel free.
I went kind of viral this week. I had a tweet that had something like 20,000 likes.
Yeah.
Doing what we normally do, making fun of stupid people, and it kind of caught
yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, I'll actually I got a couple tweets queued up for later in the show, but I would like to pull that one up. That was a good tweet. It was about the smoke filled arena bullshit that people like to say, and then of course JD never misses an opportunity to clap back on an asshole who was clearly lying or is just misinformed fed pill bullshit.
I don't like the fed pill. I don't like the fed pillars. They make me mad.
You know what? And there for a time, I wouldn't get mad at them because I'm like, they just don't know any better. Right. But now I'm like, you know what? It's so easy to get information out there. And you don't have to be stupid. At this point, you're just choosing to be stupid. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that gets me is some people have believed a version of history created by Vince McMahon. They believed it their whole life. And instead of actually looking at what really happened in the world of wrestling, that wrestling did exist pre-1984, WWF didn't acknowledge the existence of wrestling in their own territory, in their own company prior to 1984. Lanza was talking about it a couple weeks ago about Killer Khan. When Killer Khan returned to the WWF in 1987, they acted like that was the first time he'd ever been there, despite the fact that he had one of the more legendary feuds of his career 6 years prior to that with Andre the Giant. So they just totally did not want to acknowledge that any other company existed pre-1984. They created everything. It was all them. They got no help from anybody. But here's the tweet in question that JD went a little viral on. It said, without Vince, wrestling would be what it was before him, a minor entertainment for Saturday morning. And then here's JD. Don't be as dumb as this guy. Dallas, Texas, May 1984, 32,000 in attendance. And there are probably hundreds of examples to refute that bullshit nonsense that guy was spewing right there.
I just picked one. Someone's like, what about oh god, it's late, so I'm forgetting the name. The from the 40s. Why can't
Jim Londos? Jim Londos.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm firing on two cylinders. He had 100. Yeah. The rumor has it 100,000 people in Greece to watch matches, and I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it's certainly not smoke filled arenas and that bullshit.
No.
I just hate that. And Triple H's last was, well, it's something they did in like bars. It's like, shut the fuck up. I hate him with such a tremendous passion because he does know better. But
Yeah.
idiots fall for his shit and they just lap it up. Ooh, Triple H said this. And they lap it up. I hate tribalistic wrestling fans. Like, you give WWE credit when they're good at something, right?
Yeah.
Give AEW credit when they're good at something. Give TNA credit when they're good at something. Give New Japan credit when they're good at something. But these WWE fans can't. They just can't do it. Like, it violates everything they know to just say, you know what, this was fine. Like, the wrestling boom didn't even start with Hulk Hogan. It pretty much started with the fucking Von Erichs, which is why I chose that one.
Yeah. And Hulk Hogan, well, he definitely like was a big part of creating like this huge mega machine, clearly, right? No argument there, but like he was huge in AWA before he got to the WWF in 1984, right? And so he got fired from the WWF for trying to go film Rocky 3. And then of course, once Vince took over from his dad, the first thing he did was bring him over. And it wasn't like if Vince was this, and look, and I'm not this guy that doesn't think that Vince isn't smart and that Vince doesn't make great business. Of course he did. He built that empire. He had a lot of help, right? You know, he didn't just create it from nothing. Like his dad had the biggest territory in the territory system, right? They had as far as, you know, the biggest cities and where they ran and all that, and the revenue, that was the biggest, and he got it basically handed to him. Like he did pay a fee, but you know, like a small nominal fee, way less than what it was ever going to be worth. But he had the foresight to bring over Hulk Hogan, but he did that, and he didn't create Hulkamania. He bought Hulkamania from Vern Gagne, who wasn't willing to pay for it, right? Like that's what it was.
No, 100%. My favorite is, Vince created Hulkamania. Vince let Hogan be a star. Hulk Hogan was a star because of Rocky 3. Sylvester Stallone made Hulk Hogan a star. Let's be realistic. Vern took advantage of it and then never really pulled the trigger all the way. Right? You know, I was thinking about this because I had so many responses to that tweet. I mean, like I didn't mute it because I'm like, I was annoyed every time I opened up Twitter. I've been annoyed a lot lately, quite frankly, going through some stuff. So I mean, like I went on there and I saw this and I'm like, these way these people just worship at the altar. Like someone said wrestling would have died out if Vince never picked up. And I'm like, why would you think, huh? What? Why would you think that? It's like, well, the territories were out of business. I'm like, yeah, because one guy was putting them out of business.
I'm still on my camera.
Okay.
I think it's my stupid camo camera. So I'm just gonna switch over.
Go ahead, fix it. I'll continue.
Okay,
I'll keep.
No, you keep going. I can hear you. My camera just quit.
Like it just this idea that like. So here's what helped Vince is that Vince was the right age at the right time. Right? Vince had the forethought to remake things. And so did Ole Anderson, but he was like kind of set in his ways a little bit. All the other territory promoters just wouldn't walk away. Like, here's a real question, Mike. If Vince Sr. doesn't get cancer, what happens?
Eventually people were already trying to do what Vince Jr. ended up ultimately doing, right? Mm-hmm. You know, like Ole had moved up into the the Detroit territory. He was up into Columbus, Ohio. World Class.
Crockett was in Toronto.
Yeah, Crockett. And that became. And Dave did a good job explaining that situation, I think, on Monday's Wrestling Observer Radio. So if you want more details on that, he explains it way better than I could. But World Class was going everywhere already too, right? They had taken over most of Texas. With the exception of Houston. They were in Israel. They were all throughout the Middle East, and then they had their television show was all over the country on syndication and on certain cable stations and stuff like that. Like they were huge at the time too. And then of course, the folks that were on TBS as well, like they were all over the country. Eventually, cable was going to start to like get into more homes, and these bigger cities are going to want what wrestling that was on TBS. They're going to want them to come to their city, right? Like this all was going to happen regardless. But nobody was the dog that Vince was, right? Nobody was the shrewd businessman that he was. He would fucking cut your throat, right? A lot of them would too, but he had just bigger balls than a lot of the rest of them, to be honest with you. And he had just like he also had a
base.
Go ahead.
Look, sorry. No, it's like he also had a base to work off of. Like he had the New York television, he had Washington D.C. television. That's a major market. So he controlled the top two of the top four major markets in the country immediately.
New York, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Like he had like major markets. Yeah.
Their slice of the pie to start with, which is why guys wanted to go work for Vince Sr. Like, because like,
Yeah.
oh, the wrestling matches don't have to be any good. Like the fans like personality shit. And then you just go out there and work, and then it's easy and make a shit ton of money. Like, again, it was so, and he was shrewd. You cannot take away how shrewd he was. Right? The only one that could have challenged him was Crockett. And Crockett was not winning, but Crockett was super successful until he just wasn't checking the books and they were spending too much. He couldn't curb his spending. And that's what the train's coming through.
Train's back.
Yeah.
It's not that crazy. You can keep talking.
Yeah, I mean, like, Crockett just couldn't control his spending. And then Dusty was out there having him fly in Lear jets and shit until they realized there was no money left. Right?
Yeah.
It just, the idea that wrestling would have gone away is so stupid. Like, again, I hate the term fed pilled, but I've come to accept that's the only phrase for these people. And I can't stand willful stupidity. Can't stand it.
I like the phrase fed pilled, and I absolutely like calling them the Fed, because when you do, people get so mad.
That's true.
It's like, it's like, oh, it's almost becoming like they see it as like a derogatory term, and we just call them the Fed because they were the World Wrestling Federation when we were kids, right? And so people refer to them as the Fed or New York or Stamford because of where their home base was at the time. Now they probably do more work in Orlando than anything at this point.
That's
but
true.
But because they feel like that's a derogatory term, I am going to keep using it until it's cancelable, and I don't think it's going to be cancelable anytime soon.
Nah, you can stop them with canceling over that for us. It's kind of funny, actually.
Well, it's pretty funny, but you know how it is. Like words like that we used normally 20 years ago, you can't use anymore. So
that's true.
Fed and fed pilled. I'm just gonna keep using it until I'm not allowed.
No, like half the words we used as kids like are not kosher anymore. Like you can't say.
Oh my gosh,
a lot of the things that we said as kids.
You can't. I was and if you listen to comedy that was from like 20 years ago, it's like, wow, you just can't say those things anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and look, we've gotten better as a society, I would say.
I don't know if we have.
No, you know what? No, there are certain things we haven't gotten better at, but I'm talking about some of our language has and the way we talk about other people, I would say, where we're not supposed to say certain things, like the word that really gets me, that took me, and I'm not going to say the word because I really just don't like it, is the R word when you're talking about special needs people. Yeah. Like that was a word that I would say as a kid, and then I did some work. I did some work with the Special Olympics, like local type stuff, and I was like, I'm never saying that word again. And then like occasionally, like white trash Mike brain gets back into effect, and I just forget my education all of a sudden, and that word might slip, and I'm like, I feel like shit for weeks. You know what I mean? So I'm like, there's certain things that I'm glad that we just don't do anymore.
You think George Carlin's tossing in his grave now that he's being used as AI for an entire AI stand-up routine?
Did you listen to that?
No. I saw his daughter was like really mad about it, so I decided not to. I love Carlin.
Yeah. Carlin's my favorite of all. Like it's like Carlin and Pryor for me, and then of course Chris Rock. I'm big. Those would be like my top three. Eddie Murphy would be there with him, but he didn't do enough. Like he just didn't have enough material out there. But like his Delirious is probably my favorite of all time. But
Delirious is special.
I listened to the first like 5 minutes of it because I was like, it was kind of like hologram Tupac, right? Like, like I don't know if you remember that from gosh, I can't remember. Was it South by Southwest or it's in California, the big festival, but Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg were on stage and they brought out hologram Tupac, and I got chills. So I was like, okay, it's not him. So, but it was still kind of cool to see his hologram out there rapping. So I was like, okay, let me see what AI George Carlin would sound like. It sounded good. I think they produced it very well. The first joke they told us was basically a Carlin joke that he would tell. So I thought they did a good job with it, but it's still kind of, then when I found out his daughter was unhappy with it, I was like, okay, I'm not going to feel dirty.
Yeah, I'm amazed they had the permission, because usually you need the permission of the estate to do something like that. So I wonder, it didn't sound like she was going to get legal with anything, but I don't know, maybe it's because of public figure. I don't know. It's weird. The whole thing is weird.
Yeah, well, And they put it on YouTube, so it's not like they sold the content, but you can still generate revenue based off of ads. So maybe it's like a weird thing, and it's not his actual voice. And they and at no point did they use his real voice or his real likeness, but they did say his name. But they made it very clear in the beginning of the video, like, this is absolutely not him. This is us trying to recreate him and as a tribute to him. And yeah, it's it is kind of a weird thing, but I was kind of fascinated with it. And I think Will Sasso, a guy from Mad TV, big wrestling fan, guy used to do a good impression of Steven Seagal. I think that he was a part of that, I think.
King of the North is very active in the chat right now. I'm gonna pull up some of these messages, and they're really good. First, he goes, "Here to make sure JD hasn't lost his mind. Hope you're all having a great week. LOL, too late." Like, yeah, I've lost my mind pretty quick in the show. I hate that fucking guy the moment I sent my message. Yep. And then the Fed derogatory. It is a great one, Mike. And this is my favorite one. Y'all think Mark Pickering would get mad about AI Misawa matches?
Should you explain who Mark Pickering is and what that story is about? Because I don't know that people know that story.
No, that's fair. I only know part of it because I tune out Pickering. Mark Pickering is a Welsh announcer for Pro Wrestling Noah. One part of the Pro Wrestling Noah's English commentary team, and he likes to have a couple and tweet random stupid shit, getting worked about.
More on that later, by the way.
Oh,
more
good.
On that later. Yeah.
Good. I haven't read the show notes, so I like being surprised. Yeah, that's kind of Mark Pickering would get mad about. He gets mad about weird things sometimes. You roll your eyes and go, Pickering. He's at it again.
Well, what happened is that Eddie Kingston was wearing I think it was a Misawa or
I don't know this story. Please tell me this.
So okay. So Eddie Kingston was wearing a knockoff T-shirt of the Four Pillars.
Oh, that's right.
So he's wearing, and it was just some kid on the internet made the shirt, and Eddie Kingston bought it probably off of TeePublic, right? Which is where you can sell knockoff gear. I know, because I'm currently banned from there. And so he was wearing it, and then Mark Pickering got all liquored up, was watching Dynamite, and he said, well, hey, did the family of those fallen get any of that money? And he went on this rant and was saying all kinds of shit. And then finally it was exposed that Mark Pickering through DMs had actually bought knockoff gear of other wrestlers, just not the Four Pillars. It's only bad when it's the Four Pillars, apparently, not the other people that he bought knockoff shirts from.
Oh, what a surprise! What a surprise!
Yeah. It's bad for you to do it, but it's not bad for me to do it. I don't think he's ever talked about that since. So, which would be wise on his part, dumb.
Pickering, yeah.
I don't think he's a bad announcer, but I think he's kind of a butthead.
I don't love his announcing, to be honest with Noah. Maybe he's in a real sport. I don't care for it.
I think I did hear him do not Ryzen, but they have another promotion in Japan called Rise. And I did hear his commentary on there. I believe I might have that wrong, but I do fancy some Japanese MMA when I'm like up late at night and it's on television. And I think I've heard him on there before. And I know Stu Fulton does like legit combat sports too. So
I like Stu. Okay, Stu I think is pretty good. Like I don't want to bury the whole Noah commentary team. I do enjoy Stu's work. I'm not crazy about Mark.
Yeah,
I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's a bad announcer.
No, he's just kind of there. You know, he's kind of there.
Yeah.
But man, we haven't even started the show yet.
Oh God,
so,
we're 25 minutes in. Jesus.
Yeah, we're 25 minutes in. Hey guys, if you're watching the show on YouTube and you're on the Voices of Wrestling Network or the Mike and JD Show Network, please hit that like button. Make sure you're a subscriber to this channel and please put down a comment. We greatly appreciate it. Help us defeat the algorithm. That could go a long way into helping to grow the channel. And JD, we got a big announcement. Over the weekend, actually, I think it was Monday, we finally hit 1,000 subs on the Mike and JD Show YouTube channel, which is pretty damn remarkable. So good job to you, JD, sir, all your hard work here. You've been doing a lot of the clips, and I started doing some clips here recently too, trying to get my editing skills in order. And man, we've come a long way since we started this journey over the summer, man.
August. We bumped over to Voices of Wrestling in August, and at the same time we launched that's something you really fought for, is to do our own YouTube channel, and you were right. You were 100% right about that. So I'm really happy that we went in this direction, and we've grown the channel significantly. We had quite a few views for I think last week's show was one of our best. I really do.
Yeah.
And we had quite a few views, quite a good bunch of good reactions last week. Very proud of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's our most viewed show, and honestly, it's on YouTube in 3 different video forms. Right, we got it on ours, the live feed. We have the live feed on Voices of Wrestling, and then Voices of Wrestling uploads the audio only. So between those 3 different forms, we're well into like 2.5 thousand views, different types of unique views. So that's pretty awesome, man. And you know what it is? It's free agency. People love free agency talk. I thought that the topic nailed it. It was a good topic.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Like people love those type of shows where we can do things like that. I think you and I have pretty good takes on it. And people also like listening to us be mean.
Yeah, apparently, like when we're downright mean, people like that. Yeah. So we're not going to get downright mean just yet. I think we will a little bit later in the show. But our first topic, just because we're Sting guys, we're big time Sting guys.
Big time Sting guys.
He had a pretty crazy match last night on Dynamite. And after the match was over, it was revealed that him and Darby Allin will in fact take on the Young Bucks coming up at Revolution in a tag team match. Tony Khan's got a little bit of heat with me because he didn't book what I told him to book. Like, I always think that my ideas are the best, and I told him specifically to book Sting versus Samoa Joe for the world title, and he didn't do it. However, I feel like this is a pretty damn good alternative. I like the match.
I think it's a great idea. Like the Bucks, people hate on the Young Bucks because, I don't know, they're the Young Bucks. They're kind of passive aggressive to our Lord and Savior CM Punk, so people are mad about that.
Well, and they are naturally douchey. They came out. They just are. They got this kind of like douchey vibe to them, and which makes them great heels. But that also spills over because I think like their personalities are probably a little bit dickish, and that's okay.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have to like this idea. This like I think Lanza calls it merch table culture, which I'm a big fan of that phraseology. Like I don't think I don't have to like the people I watch on TV. I'm not going out for drinks with them afterwards. We're not going out to dinner. Like I did their characters in a TV show, man. I'm never going to meet them. I don't have to like them personally. Yeah. But what the Bucks are great at doing is they're great at having amazing tag team matches with talent that maybe kind of needs to be carried a little bit. Like Dave mentioned, Private Party and Top Flight right away. Like, remember that match with Revolution 2020 with Omega and Page against the Bucks? Like, these guys are masters at putting on tag team wrestling matches. Like, this is a great thing. Sting and Darby against the Bucks. That's gonna rule.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it's gonna rule.
Yeah. Now, I was looking forward to the idea that I gave them that they never agreed to, the Samoa Joe idea. But when it got announced that it was the Young Bucks, like, oh shit, that actually makes a lot of sense. It's like Sting probably doesn't want to do a singles match. He probably doesn't think that he could do one. Although I did feel like a Samoa Joe could have a really good match with them because I always liked Sting wrestling big guys. I thought he just had really good matches with guys that were bigger than him. He was always a good seller, and his comebacks were always really good. And he was like a fiery babyface, but he probably just doesn't want to do that. In fact, Dave said that he probably is the one that picked this match, and this is exactly what he's getting. And I think the Young Bucks are the perfect team to go out there and carry is a strong word because I don't think you have to carry Sting. Like the Bucks and Darby will do much of the wrestling action, and Sting will go in and he'll no sell some shit. He'll beat his chest. He'll do some Stinger splashes. Probably jump off something he shouldn't jump off of at his age, and we'll go home, and it'll be a fucking fun match.
He's a goddamn madman, and the world is gonna be the wrestling world is gonna be a lesser place without Sting in it. I'm happy that we're getting this big moment. 15,000 seats sold already for the Greensboro Coliseum.
Yeah,
and man, it's gonna be a great show, but it's gonna be really sad, and I'm glad he's smart enough not to be Flair, to just leave when he still has a lot of goodwill and people still love watching him, and he got to go out his way. Remember when we thought the end of Sting was going to be that buckle bomb from Rollins?
Oh, that broke my heart too, because that was a good match up until that point. I liked that match with Rollins. I liked that feud with Rollins. Yeah,
that was fun. I'm very happy we got another Page.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
and I think they've mostly done it right. Although I did feel like AEW probably could have anytime they book Sting in those cities from this like these last few months, they could have been like Sting's last night in Charlotte, Sting's last night. He didn't have to be on every single show, but kind of make that a bigger deal. But the fact of the matter is, they're in Greensboro. They sold it out 15,000. It's not that big of a deal. But I did feel like it was a little bit of a missed opportunity to do kind of what they did for Moa and for Muto and Noah.
Here's the thing though. I like Sting not being the focus of the company. Muto was the focus of Noah at the
Yeah,
end.
but you don't have to make him the focus of the company to sell a fucking T-shirt that says Sting's last night in Charlotte, right? Or
No, but
to say, hey, look, here comes Sting's last match in the middle of the card in Charlotte, right? Like that's not putting him the focus. The focus is on MJF.
No. The problem though is like AEW's got real problems with their merchandise, right? If you listen to major complaint about AEW shows for the last 2 years, is they never have enough merchandise. They never have it ready to go at the shows. They aren't competent in that division. And Dana Massey has been fired basically, and I don't know if fired might be there, but she's no longer there because. But I don't think. Yeah,
they hired one of Vince McMahon's guys to run that department. Big fan of Vince. Apparently, this guy.
Big fan of Vince.
What was his name? Kosha Irby? Is that his name?
Something like that. I forget.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
Huge fan of Vince. Yeah.
Big Vince guy. Big Vince guy.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, honest to God, like, I don't think they have the team to do that kind of stuff with the shirts because they just don't. Like, they were able to do it with the Punk stuff, but Punk is far more active as far as the T-shirt stuff goes. Like, he tends to go out and get shit done himself in that department. Where if left to the AEW's own devices, they just don't do that. And I'm happy that Greensboro gets to be the night. Yeah. And we don't have to go Sting's last night in Chicago, Sting's last night in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, Sting's last night, and I think that's stupid. I really do. I don't like that. I would rather you keep the retirement be the retirement and let it be special. Because Muto prostituted the whole thing, and it's whatever. It made Noah some money, but they're not in any better place now. Yeah. I'm fine.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I went to a St. Louis Cardinals New York Yankees game, right? And during that game, they had Derek Jeter come out. So this is his very last game in the city of St. Louis, and he waved to the crowd, and they made that a big deal. We all stood up and gave him a standing ovation. I think stuff like that's cool, right? Especially when the city has meaning to Sting's career, right? Or like it was a big Sting city, much like Charlotte, or if they would have went to Baltimore or Chicago, LA. Like I thought that would have been cool. I'm not mad that they didn't do it because I wasn't at any of those shows. I just felt like it would have been cool to do it. It was a little bit of a missed opportunity. But if the argument is they weren't competent enough to do that, okay, I get it. I understand that. Hopefully they're more competent in 2024. Look, they had a lot of fucking problems last year. They had a lot of problems. The way they booked Sting was not one of those problems. I thought they've done a really great job with Sting, and I thought they've handled everything, mostly pretty damn good overall. And the fact of the matter is, we're putting him in the Greensboro Coliseum, home of Mid-Atlantic and home of WCW and all that stuff, and 15,000 strong. So I call that a win.
I would call that a win too. I don't have a problem with anything this company has done with Sting, right? Yeah. And we got a different Sting. Like this Madman Sting is not the Sting we had in TNA. It's not the Sting we saw in WWE. Like it's not this WCW Sting. It's been a different guy. Like that Sting wasn't jumping off of fucking rafters and shit. Like Sting when WCW would hang out in the rafters. This Sting's like hanging out with Darby going, I can make that jump. Like it's a different guy. It's kudos to him for being willing to change his character with the times, and in that regard. So I think they've been great with Sting, and I have no complaints about how the Sting run in AEW has gone.
Is it time to reel Darby's little ass back in a little bit with some of the dangerous stuff he's doing? Like so Mike as a fan doesn't care. Let him kill himself. I don't like let him go do all the dangerous shit. Let him break his entire body. No big deal. But then there's like Mike is like, a safety guy, right? like I'm an occupational safety guy. And I'm like, at some point, does somebody need to pull that kid aside and be like, look, man, you're great. You don't need to do this every single night, right? Like you don't need to just destroy your body. Eventually you're going to want to walk when you're old. Like, and he's probably not going to listen, but goddamn, like maybe like somebody with some leverage over him that might be paying his checks might be like, hey buddy, we got to slow this thing down. I want to keep you here for a long time. And I don't want to be paying your medical bills for the rest of your life because of some stupid shit you did in the ring.
I'm torn. I'm not saying I need to watch Darby kill himself, but I think that part of the appeal of Mick Foley was the fact that he was going to give above and beyond, and he made those matches special, and he beat up his body for it. Right? Maybe the brain you want to keep in better shape, but I mean the rest of it, like I don't know. Like is Darby without the big risks? I don't have an answer for that question. I'm a selfish fan. I'll be the first to admit it.
Yeah.
I like watching Darby be Darby, and I'm not a safety guy. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to see them. I don't want to say I don't want to see Darby not hurting himself, but I mean, part of the appeal of Darby is the stunt show, and I'm a fan of it.
Yeah. No, I get it. I was just I was thinking about that earlier today. I was like, man, this guy, like, this stuff's gonna catch up to him one day, and he's gonna regret some of the shit that he's been pulling. But I wanted to play this really quick so we can get it off of here before. So I sent this to you. Now, unfortunately, I do apologize to the guy that made it. He put it on Instagram. I don't have an Instagram, and for whatever reason, it's not showing me who made it. So I'm not one of those guys like that likes to post a video of like super creative and be like, okay, who made this? When clearly the person posting that said it knows exactly who made it. It was the person you stole it from. But in this case, it was sent to me on Instagram from my buddy Lewis Carlin. I then forwarded it or sent to me in Facebook Messenger by Lewis Carlin. I don't have Instagram, so I click it. It plays in the Messenger thing, but I can't see who made it. So anyway, this is take a listen to Triple H selling Cody Rhodes on main eventing WrestleMania.
Headline WrestleMania. Yep, versus Roman Reigns. Oh, he's had the belt for so long, it'll be an honor to take it off of him. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Wait, I'm gonna lose? But due to shenanigans. It's what I like to call long-term booking. Okay, so I'll fight Roman at the next pay-per-view. No, you're gonna fight Brock. For a belt? For pride. Oh. And he's gonna beat the tar out of you all summer. Okay. And in the end, you'll get a fluky win and he'll put you over with a handshake. And then I'll get the title? Yes. Well, consider me honored to have this the tag titles. What? For a week. A week? Yeah, then you'll give him back. Remember, long-term booking. Oh, so then I'll pick up with Shinsuke. But he's a mid-carder. Not anymore. Well, this doesn't make any sense. I left AEW to win, to headline, to be a top draw. There's 2 nights of WrestleMania. Who are you going to have main event? CM Punk and The Rock. What the fuck?
Oh, that was crazy. Long-term booking. Remember, kids.
I love that so much. Like that guy just summed up. I love the corny ass Davey and Goliath lip motion. Like the cartoon's too cheap to actually do like frames per minute, so they just put a guy talking over the cartoon. Yeah, hilarious. That was I watched that. You sent it to me when I was at school, I think, and I was trying not to get in trouble watching that thing. It's hilarious.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna say poor Cody because he's living pretty good. Like, there's no poor Cody over here. He might not be getting booked the way he exactly wanted to, but he's still top of the cards everywhere. He just might not be top WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't get to be the champ. I think that might be Cody's lot in all this. Is maybe he just doesn't get to be the champion.
Maybe that was like his whole thing in AEW where he was never champion, right? And like you're the dumb that, that put that stipulation out there. Now you got to follow through with it.
And now it's just become a thing. I think Hunter's like, I thought you didn't want the title.
Yeah. So why would I give you the belt if you clearly didn't want the title?
Maybe the finish of the story is you just keep losing.
Yeah. God, it's so funny. Let's get into TNA Hard to Kill. I know there's gonna be some TNA fans out there checking out the podcast, and I'll probably clip this part for our YouTube channel. But so we got TNA Hard to Kill coming up this weekend, and it's gonna be a big show, one of the biggest shows in the history of Anthem-owned TNA. I'm gonna pull up the ticket sales right now. So Dobby the Brain Heenan, Patreon subscriber, sent me an update. He's probably not watching live, but he'll check out this podcast in a little bit. He sent me an email. He said, in case I don't get a chance to update you later, there 1,200 tickets sold out of 1,402 available. So they're 85% sold. So I didn't get a chance to look at Snake Eyes, but last was at and then Snake Eyes is they've sold 1,008 tickets out of 1,180. So So they're doing pretty good. TNA is opening up new seats every single day. And then right now they got a little bit of like 1,400 seats in there, and they might even have more coming up this weekend. So we'll see how. I think Astro is chiming in, but we'll see we'll see how all their tickets are moving here coming up here pretty soon. But man, looking good for Hard to Kill. They're still teasing that there's going to be a big signing. There's Dobby right there, up to 1228 now. He's got me. Okay. So yeah, I think we're going to we'll probably get to 1,400 and maybe even more come showtime, because the thing about Vegas that people don't realize is they're a huge walk-up town. Like the Palms, the Palms employees, and I'm sure TNA will have some people out. They'll have people out there on the strip, like hawking tickets, and there'll be people there in the casino, like pulling drunks off the craps table and then trying to get them to buy tickets, or even getting them in for free, like Showtime, to fill that place up. So I wouldn't be surprised if they had over 1,500 people, 1,600 people. So if you think about it, here's what I want people to do when they talk about TNA. You cannot compare what TNA does to what AEW does. Just like you cannot compare what AEW does to what WWE does. It's not a fair comparison, right? It's not an apples to apples comparison. AEW and WWE have a bigger reach. They have much larger budgets. They're working with tons more money than what TNA is doing. If you want to call this a success, you need to compare what TNA had done previously, specifically in the city of Las Vegas. And in the city of Las Vegas, at Sam's Town Casino, they sold about 750 tickets, right? So they've doubled their ticket amount. So they're already up like 200% better than what they were before. And the fact of the matter is, they didn't really put together like a crazy card. There are no feuds, there are no storylines, and they haven't had a television show in 2 months. So they've really done this all based off of a rebrand, and I feel like it's been pretty damn successful. And a lot of the ticket sales we've been seeing lately is just because they went ahead and spent money on billboards around Vegas, and people are like, oh shit, that's happening. And then, people are buying tickets and shit. So it's JD sneeze. It's a pretty big success for these guys. So congrats to TNA.
No, huge congrats. Like, I kind of picked on like the quote unquote buzz a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to give them some credit here. Is they've done a really good job closing this out, and they're going to get a really good crowd for themselves. I think the rebrand's been pretty good. I like the new belts for the most part.
Yeah.
Everybody lost their mind for the knockout belt being white, and I'm like, who fucking cares? It's white. Why does that matter? But I think on the whole, the belts are designed really well. I think they look good.
Yeah.
From a design perspective. There's some good looking titles.
Yeah, they're some of my favorite titles. I think that the knockouts and the world title probably my two favorites of the bunch. But I thought the crew that designed these belts, the Hellfire Designs, I thought they hit a home run with these ones. And you can tell that TNA they put some money into these things. These are not cheaply made titles. Those Impact titles were trash. Like when you see the two titles side by side, whenever they do the reveal videos, like the new title versus the old title, I'm like those old titles look disgusting compared to the new titles. It's like just cheap bowling trophy bullshit title. Like throw that thing in the fucking trash. These new TNA belts are incredible. I love them.
Well, we do have a bowling trophy in this company, so yeah.
Yeah, that is true. The call your shot bowling trophy.
Mm-hmm.
So just quick rundown of the card. Main event: Alex Shelley versus Moose. JD, you're not really up on TNA, so you can chime in who you think's gonna win if you want to. But
well, I have a friend who's an expert in TNA who said Moose got in really great shape, which probably tips off that he's winning the title.
Yeah. So, like I said, Moose is looking like Lex Luger. He's so shredded. I follow him on Facebook, and he's posting videos every day working out. And the guy's got veins popping everywhere, man. He looks incredible, and he's not doing that to come in and lose. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take Moose on that deal. Although Alex Shelley has been a really good champion, but I think they're gonna go. With
Michael,
yes.
Hold on, Mike.
Yeah.
I popped onto Twitter real quick, and I have to have you eat some shit. I just enjoy Mike gets to eat some shit.
Hold on. Should I pull the tweet up? Should I share screen?
Yes.
Or can you do that? Because I don't have the tweet. Can you do that? Present.
I don't.
If you hit that present button, hit the present button down in the bottom in the middle.
I got it on my other computer. I can't.
Oh, okay.
So
is it Sam Shipman?
It's Sam Shipman. She of the Power Bombshells says. I'll just read it. Says, I'm watching the show on my phone and can't comment, but I was at Collision last Sunday. They're selling Sting's Last Tour t-shirts.
Hey, Sam, delete your Twitter account, please, and never talk to me again. Don't ever prove me wrong in public. That's so
I
funny.
appreciate it. I know she's listening.
Yeah.
I'm glad I looked at Twitter for
Well, you know what? I'm glad they
like
took my idea
rampant
retroactively.
ADD.
I'm, I'm glad they took the idea that I was planning on talking since Monday. I'm glad they took that idea and ran with it yesterday. Or I guess
ran with it a couple weeks ago. that was good. That was great. Thank you, Sam. I hope you're still listening to the show.
I'm gonna pick a good save. Like,
hey, they want us. They want us on their show. I said we recorded video for them because they're doing a thing, so we should actually record something and send it to them.
Yeah. They wanted me to call in, and I really wanted to, but it's my wife's birthday weekend, so we're gonna be doing family stuff all weekend, so I will not be able to do that.
Andy got his first tournament of the year. He's finally over the pneumonia, so I gotta take him up there. So maybe we should record something afterwards, real quick for them.
Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, running down the card, Trinity versus Jordan Grace. This one's a tough one to pick considering Trinity's probably going to be in the Royal Rumble in 2 weeks.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Against Jordan Grace, the perennial champion who always gets the belt when someone's leaving. Wonder who's going to win this one.
Yeah, it should be a decent match, though.
We kept Trinity nice and strong on her way out, so that's good. Unlike someone else.
Yeah. I like the way they booked Trinity. Now Jordan Grace beats somebody important. I don't see what's wrong with that. And most of the people that Trinity beat don't even work here anymore. So who cares?
Deanna did like 800 jobs on the way out. She was like Barry Horowitz the last year of the company.
Yeah. Josh Alexander versus Alex Hammerstone. That's gonna be my like most interesting match of the night. What do we think?
Boy, I gotta go Josh because he works here. But here's what I'm hoping. I hope Josh wins and Hammerstone beats his ass after the match, and then we find out that Hammerstone's sticking around.
Yeah, I'd like to have them have a banger, and then actually I hate that word. I want them to have a really good match.
Banger.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I want them to have a really good match, and then afterwards I want D'Amore to come out and hand the contract. I think that would be cool.
That's lame. That's not fun.
But that's TNA tradition. They just did it last month with Trent Seven. That's how Josh Alexander got his contract.
Yes.
That's how Speedball got his contracts. It's kind of just that's how Leon Slater got signed. So but your idea might actually lead to more interesting television, though. I would say.
I got this bad thing about wanting to watch because I'm gonna start watching TNA again when the show is actually rebranded going forward. I just want to watch good TV.
Yeah. No, I feel you. Next up, we got Chris Sabin versus Vikingo versus Kushida. And because I hate Sam Shipman now, I'm going to go ahead and pick Kushida because he just signed.
Oh, Kushida is...
yeah.
Well, it won't be Vikingo because,
no,
he's all over the place. And I don't think you want to put a title on him. I'm going to go... I think Kushida's probably the move.
Yeah, I could see them flipping every single title. Honestly, that wouldn't surprise me because it's like a new day, Yeah. And then we got Ace Austin and Chris Bay versus the Rascals versus the Grizzled Young Vets versus Mike Bailey and Trent Seven. With this one, I'm going to stick with ABC keeping it, even though I could also see any one of these teams winning.
I'm going to go with the Grizzled Young Vets because I think they're coming in. They don't really have a lot of buzz coming off of NXT, but I mean, they're very well respected and they're super stoked to be here. And I think it could establish them good coming out of the gate. I like what you just said. I'm going to go with that, with flipping every belt coming out.
Okay. I dig it. Match, or let's see. Then we got the Ultimate X. We got Giselle Shaw, Zaya Brookshire, Jody Threat, Tasha Steeles, Alicia Edwards, and Danny Luna. I'm going to pick Danny just because she's the new person that's signed. They got a hard contract on her.
Can I say I think this match is going to suck? I have no faith.
I think you might be right. Because whenever they started to announce names, I thought they were going to have better wrestlers in it, right? And so I think the two best are probably Giselle and Jody Threat. Danny Luna's pretty good. She's a little young, but she's still pretty good. But I think this is going to be kind of a clunky mess, which might end up being fun if they do something stupid. That'd be cool.
In Ultimate X, especially. I have this vision of Alicia hanging off the X and dying. I just
it's
I don't know.
Worth the price of admission, I guess. I don't.
Fair.
It's going to be clunky. I could see that.
I'll say Danny Luna too, just because it seems like they got some interest in her. So sure, why not?
Yeah. And then of course, match of the night: PCO and Dirty Tango. Yeah. Yeah, don't care either. I think somebody that just signed a contract is gonna come and end this match quick, so kill our misery.
I'd be okay with that.
Rich Swann and Steve Macklin. You know I'm going Steve Macklin.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I'm gonna say Swan just to get your goat a little bit.
Oh, you bastard. Eddie Edwards and Myers versus Eric Young and Frankie Kazarian. 4 TNA originals. Myers did have a cup of coffee in the old TNA, so 4 TNA originals. Yeah.
Okay.
But,
I'll let. Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll let that one go.
Yeah.
I'll go with who's Frankie teaming with again?
Eric Young.
Yeah, I'll go with that one. Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Eric Young, and I don't think they're gonna make Eric Young lose. Like he's Mr. TNA. I don't think they're gonna make him lose.
See how
right,
and then the product right now? I'm like,
yeah,
sure, that guy.
Yeah. And then lastly, Tommy Dreamer versus Crazy Steve in a digital media championship match.
Tommy Dreamer. Holy shit, do I not care about this? Honestly, okay.
It's on the pre-show, by the way.
Honestly,
it's on the pre-show. Yeah.
As the digital media belt usually is.
Yeah.
I would love to see Crazy Steve win this, but there's no way they're going to take that off of Tommy Dreamer.
You know what I think about Tommy Dreamer, JD? This is what I think about Tommy. This is what
I've had enough of that fat bastard. That piece of shit.
Here, let me just reiterate my feelings on Tommy Dreamer one more time.
I've had enough of that fat bastard. That piece of shit.
I've been setting up this bit all day.
I am so happy. That's great.
In case you didn't know, that was a Stephen A. Smith on one Jason Whitlock. He went off on Jason Whitlock this week. It was great television.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. I don't care. I get the feeling that somehow that digital media title is going to end up on one Top Dollah's shoulder at some point because they're bringing him in for at least for Hard to Kill. They're bringing him in for at least Hard to Kill, and that's kind of about it.
I'm sorry, I just had to garrote wire myself at the thought of having to watch Top Dollar. My favorite thing in the world is watching people work themselves into pretending Top Dollar is like good and has like value and like that we actually want to see that because he wants to be in TNA. People are like, oh yeah, remember that time he almost broke his face? He was actually really good. It actually saved his life. So it's a good thing that he embarrassed himself on national TV like that. That's awesome.
So I did a whole podcast about Top Dollar, and so
I can't believe you did that.
Well, no, not the entire thing was dedicated to him. There was lots of other updates, but he was at the beginning of it. But because I wanted to call him Dollar General. That's my.
I love that. I love that so much.
Dollar General AJ Francis. Here's what Top Dollar can do. He can bring a guy like DJ Woo Kid, who is pretty popular in the hip hop community, right? And he can get you on some sports stations. He's got connections with hip hop. And then he had DJ Woo Kid on the sideline of the Citrus Bowl wearing a teenage jacket. But then all of a sudden, when the bell rings, it's like nobody cares, right? So if you got him as a kind of a hype man for somebody, I'm fine with that. Like I don't want to see the guy wrestle though. Like he's just not any good. But he's coming in on Saturday with DJ Woo Kid. He's not signed to this company. I don't think he's going to stick around that long, even if he does. In fact, when they made the announcement that he was coming in with Woo Kid, the original graphic didn't even have him on it. He ended up making his own graphic and putting himself on it and tweeting it out. And then all of a sudden he was able to get himself onto TMZ, and then finally TNA decided to put him on the graphic. I think that's their way of telling us that they only brought him in because they wanted to get DJ Woo Kid on their show.
I can't read this name, Mike. What is he?
It says name cannot be blank, and he said that was a little harsh, but I get it. I think he's talking about the Stephen A. Smith.
The Stephen A. Smith, or me hanging myself and saying Top Dollar.
No, it's Stephen A. Smith. Because I will say, at least Top Dollar did some research and actually know some people on the roster feel like, well, he's trying to get a job, right? Like, and here's the man was dumb. Here's the thing, and I try to like he's a self-starter. He's a self-promoter.
I agree with that.
I think if you did bring the guy in, he's going to be constantly promoting your brand all the time, and that's what he's advertising himself on social media. The guy is a social media influencer. That's what you get out of him. When the bell rings, you get dog shit, unfortunately, because he just never improved from the NXT, right? He just never got any better.
So
but
you're telling me you want your own version of Tyrus, is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically, but Tyrus, people didn't like Tyrus, right? That was the difference. People like Top Dollar. No, I'm serious. Like he's got a lot of friends. Like people actually really like this guy. Like all the wrestlers seem to like him. The rappers seem to like him. He's always there on the sidelines of football games. The guy's got connections. Like people like the guy. He's very charitable. Like he's not a bad dude. Like Tyrus was an asshole, like a total loser.
No, you're right. Oh, right? No, you're right about that.
You know what I mean? Like, so I don't want to lump him in with him.
I don't know. I don't know, man. He had a bad reputation in WWE both times for pissing a lot of people off. They all got released the first time because he was running his mouth. Right. And then he came back, and Michael Cole, who is the voice of the company. Remember, Michael Cole gets produced and is told what to say. And every time Top Dollar was in the ring, it was ridicule the man beat like no one else could see. Like
he called him Flop Dollar, which is that's Mike Gilbert level.
Pretty funny.
Controlling.
That is pretty funny, actually. So I mean, like he might have a lot of friends, but it seems like he's also really good at pissing a lot of people off.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think he thinks that he's pretty valuable. So, and that could be tough on him. Now, I'm not advocating that they sign him. I just know TNA. I just know TNA, and it just seems like he's the guy that they would like. So,
I don't disagree with that. I think is that Scott's big signing?
No, because because dude, they didn't even put him on the graphic whenever they made the announcement of DJ Wu Kid. I don't think they think that he's like coming, like he's going to be around. I think the big signing, and I've been saying it for weeks, even whenever people were pointing towards Mercedes Moné, it's Dolph, right? I think that's the guy. But that's one thing that I think is going to happen. I think another thing, the Worlds Collide thing has got me thinking that maybe somebody that's currently on the AEW roster, on the WWE roster, might show up for an appearance. Not wrestling, but just kind of show up. So I think it would kind of be cool to see Sting in TNA one last time before he retires. Like not wrestling, but just show up in the arena. I think that would be cool. I don't think they might not do it. That would be fun, or see like AJ Styles pop up at some point. You know, that's pretty tough because he's a top star in WWE. But I think something like the Worlds Collide thing that they're really hitting hard, and you'll never guess who's going to show up. That's what I'm thinking. Something like that.
2 weeks ago, I was super negative on Nemeth coming in, but the more I've watched him his New Japan stuff, he does seem revitalized. He does seem like he has something to prove, which I didn't think he had that in him. It's looking like I'm kind of going to be happy to be wrong.
Yeah. I think WWE beat that guy down, and he just kind of like gave up on doing what they wanted him to do in that system. He's like, I'd be prepared to go 60 minutes and I get 90 seconds. He goes, what do you want me to do with that? Right. Like he's kind of been speaking out about that thing, about that. So he was a good soldier for a long time, and leaving WWE is a difficult thing to do. That's a lot of money. Right. Mm-hmm. That is a huge platform. That's mailbox money every 2 weeks that is like life altering. And then when you get used to having that, like it critically changes your trajectory in life. And so, but now what I wanted to see from him before somebody took a flyer on him was, take Japan dates, but I wanted to see him like start working all over the place, working all the indies and proving himself, which you just brought up. And that's what he's doing. He's got bookings in Puerto Rico, the UK, Australia, bookings everywhere, man. So I'm curious to see what he's capable of. Go ahead. You want to shit on Scotty Wrestling? Go ahead.
No, I don't want to shit on Scotty Wrestling. Shout out to the Neminator. When we were in college, Nick Nemeth had pink hair, and he had his own shirt that had like screen pressed on the back of it, Neminator. And we were all like, God, this guy's a fucking tool. Again, rival schools, and he was a pretty good junk wrestler. And like he was so disliked by everybody on my team, and that is how he referred to himself 20 years ago. So the fact that you just threw that up there, Scott, blew my mind and brought me back.
That's so funny. The one time I had ever seen him in person, like outside of the ring, was at WrestleMania whenever they were in Santa Clara. the big Sting versus Triple H, WrestleMania, and I was at the WWE's hotel. Like I was staying at it. Like we got a deal on Hotwire. It was like $100 for a $500 room. So we just grabbed it. We had no idea. David Hadley, welcome back. So how's wrestling season going, JD? We'll get into that. I'm just gonna tell the story real quick. Well, I'm at the hotel. We're having dinner at the restaurant. The 49ers there, Ric Flair's there, Kevin Nash and The Miz are at the bar. All these wrestlers are all over the place, and in walks Dolph Ziggler. And he is wearing a blazer, some white pants, skin-tight white pants, and a Dolph Ziggler t-shirt. And I was like, this is not a guy that I would hang out with. Like he wrestles, he walks around in public with his own merchandise on.
Lord. I'm not surprised at all to hear that. So Nick, this was in college. Nick Nemeth went to Kent State. I went to Northern Illinois. We're both rival MAC schools. We wrestled each other in the conference duel. No, I didn't wrestle him. I was a different weight class. But our schools wrestled each other to decide the conference tournament. So we just two schools didn't like each other. Hey, David Hadley, season's all right. We're ranked 10th in the state of Illinois. It's been a lot of ups and downs this year. Been driving me crazy. So yeah, I just me and Nemeth goes back 20 years. He don't know who I am. He might remember like, oh yeah, Northern's 97 pounder. Okay, I kind of remember that guy. But I remember him because a year later he showed up on my TV with Chavo Guerrero, and I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. So you never forget that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
remember that when he was the caddy for Kerwin White.
Chavo Guerrero was playing a character who was Mexican but wanted to be white and turned his back on his people.
You know how you said we've gotten better? You're right. I was wrong. that would never happen today. Wow.
Yeah. Real quick, we only got a few minutes left. We spent a lot of time earlier bullshitting. So which we typically do. Last week, Jim Cornette and Brian Last, they told a story that they said that they couldn't say any names of, but that somebody at some point had knocked Chris Jericho out on the Jericho cruise, I guess the year prior. And Cassidy Haynes of bodyslam.net did some digging, did the research, asked the sources, and it turns out one MVP, the guy who had the altercation with Jericho, I guess a couple years ago, on an elevator where Chris Jericho looked at MVP and said, I don't fight jobbers. Well, MVP did not forget about that, went onto the Jericho cruise and knocked that motherfucker out. And that story is out. And MVP seemingly confirmed the story earlier today on Twitter by alluding to it. So that is hilarious.
Did Chris Jericho invite him on the cruise, or did this dude buy a ticket for the cruise specifically to knock Chris Jericho out? Because if so, that's commitment to wanting to punch a man, and I respect it.
Yeah. I mean, that's on-site stuff. Or did Jericho book him thinking that everything was cool, right? And then MVP's like, yeah, I'll take the booking, and then showed up, knocked the motherfucker out on his own boat. I don't know, whatever it is. Like I'm down with like that kind of stuff, right? Because Jericho said some pretty awful shit to him apparently.
Oh yeah. No, you don't say it to a human being. If he got a booking, if he got paid a booking fee and knocked the guy out who paid him, that's even better. Like
he should go into the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, right? Like Observer Hall of Fame, absolutely. Yeah.
The Observer. Yeah. And I like Chris Jericho. I don't have a problem with Chris Jericho.
Me either.
But if you're going to be a complete asshole like that and say some shit to somebody, you got to be expect to eat a fist once in a while.
You know, we talked about Mark Pickering, doing late night drunk Twitter rants. Chris Jericho does that, and he gets himself into trouble sometimes. And he picked the wrong guy to mess with because MVP, he spent some time in jail. Like MVP is not a guy to mess with, man. And Chris Jericho messed with the wrong dude and got knocked out apparently. And Scotty Wrestling, IWGP Intercontinental Champion, yeah. He's one of the OGs of that title. I think he held that right before he went back to TNA. Kind of a crazy thing.
I think you're correct.
Yeah. So there's some rumors going around. I want to bring this up.
Let's do it. We'll go a little bit overtime.
Well, just a little bit. I do have BQ waiting for me. Me and BQ, we're going to actually we're going to do a podcast here pretty soon. We're going to do a Hard to Kill show, but so it looks like here. If you could see over here. So this is from Rover. He said there's a popular and legendary wrestler who wore a Q bracelet, QAnon, on air the last 2-3 weeks. One person noticed. Well, it looks like that person is one Jeff Jarrett right here. He is he owns a QAnon bracelet. Now that doesn't mean that he is attached to QAnon, but if you look, somebody had a link to what this actually meant, and the people that buy these things are I want to they had a picture of it. So it's called Hippocrates Wellness. It is a wristband that has the Q on it, and apparently it protects you. Are you guys seeing this right here?
No.
Okay, hold on. Here, I'm gonna stop sharing here, and then I'm gonna share the new screen that I just picked up. Sorry guys, I'm learning this in real time. So this is the Quantum 3 wristband that Jarrett is wearing. It says Quantum 3 wristbands are made from high-performance silicone to allow our customers to enjoy round-the-clock cellular stabilization against negative effects of Wi-Fi, cell phones, and EMF. So that's what he's protecting himself from. It's stored in a wristband pocket. And okay, now it sounds like I'm reading it. So I'm sorry. I don't want to get in trouble with the bosses there. But he's wearing a QAnon that keeps protecting him from Wi-Fi and 5G, guys. Yeah. So that broke. Now I am susceptible to falling for some conspiracy stuff, right? We did a whole podcast about JFK, and John Muse is now sending me new alien stuff. He's really fucking with me because I can't sleep now.
He is fucking with me.
I'm looking up alien stuff all night now. Like there was like a 10-foot tall alien in Brazil apparently, so I'm gonna have to look that up some more. But like Jarrett, QAnon, we doing this?
Chat me up, Jeff. Do you believe that the pizza place in Washington D.C. has a secret basement where they have? Wow. Yeah. I don't even know. I don't even know what's crazier: the fact that he was wearing a QAnon bracelet on television, or the fact that it protects from 5G. I mean, like, I'm speechless. I'm absolutely speechless.
Well, needless to say, guys, I'm going to be monitoring the situation closely because this is the stuff that I like to talk about. Crazy people fascinate me, and I'm like, man, and that was the thing that I posted on Twitter earlier. It's like, look, while I am disappointed that Jeff Jarrett might be QAnon, I am not the least bit surprised.
No, I can't say it was surprised. If I heard if you say Jeff Jarrett is a QAnon guy, I kind of be like, well, he is friends with Brian James, who's very clearly nuts. So. Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know. He comes off so likable.
Well, so that's the thing. People are complicated, right? People are complicated. There's people in my life that I absolutely adore and love, right? And then there was one person that I'm just super close to, taking care of me my whole life, told me recently that they thought that the Maui fires were caused by space lasers ran by Democrats, and that they didn't burn anything but the color blue. Right. So like, and then we just stopped the conversation. And then exactly. Yeah. And I didn't look this up. I just like, okay. I love you anyway. You want to go get some pizza now? And then we just had pizza and we just moved on. And you know what? And she was so sweet the entire time. So that just happens. Right. So some people are they believe in some weird stuff.
You've blown my mind with 2 consecutive wild ass sentences. And I'm just sitting here. Only burned the color blue. That's
dude. I'm too afraid. I'm too afraid to look that up because I'm afraid of what happened to my Google history if I do. Right?
You'll get flagged.
It'll something crazy is gonna come up. So I don't recommend anybody try that.
Wow.
Okay, and and lastly,
oh boy.
JD, I want your opinion on this. We'll end it with here. Do you think we should get Tony's phone away from him?
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, like a little bit unbecoming, right? Like because he's a public figure right now. Mike, who likes to be entertained on Twitter, I say give him a second cell phone, give him a few burner accounts, give him an extra laptop. Mike also, that's also getting his MBA, that's learning about business. Like maybe a little decorum, right? Now people are gonna be like, well, Vince did this. Okay, well, okay, yeah, that sucks too, guys. That's different. Like that sucks too. right? I'm not saying one is better than the other. Clearly the crimes that Vince McMahon have been alleged are way worse. Okay, that is still bad, right? So nobody's saying that's not bad. So before anybody says that, go fuck yourself, because I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that this guy is kind of embarrassing himself a little bit. And poor Jinder Mahal and Hook are taking some strays, man, for no reason at all. It's like, I didn't even know people were upset at the Hook match. I had no idea. but Tony's getting gotten to by dumb accounts on Twitter and social media nerds running the USA Network account. He needs to just probably give up his phone.
Yeah, I think that he needs to start. I know he's got burners. He should just use that stuff on his burner if he needs. Because sometimes I have a bad habit of doing this too. Sometimes where I'll just tweet or through it, or I'll just post something on Facebook, like just and there's no real reason for it, just because maybe you need to just get stuff off your chest. Like, maybe you need to just go. That's why you got to use your burner, man. Like it's not. I know Dave will sit there and say too that he thinks that this is actually better for his brand because it gets people. I don't know. I don't like it. Like, I thought it was stupid when Vince McMahon took out a spot in the New York Times and the New York Post to make fun of Ted Turner. Like, I think that stuff's all dumb, and that's why you have a burner, man. You don't do it on your public account.
Yeah, I'm all for pettiness for my entertainment, but if he were to ask me, right, if he were to, because I am a guy that's currently working on his master's in human resources. If they were to ask me, I'd be like, probably don't do that anymore. JD, you're being asked by name cannot be blank. Are you going to the NJPW show in Chicago? It's at the Wintrust. That's huge.
It is at the Wintrust. That's a big arena. That's a 10,000 seat arena. So that's biggest. That might be the biggest place they've run since the Cow Palace, I think.
Yeah.
I am going to go. I have tickets. A buddy of mine just bought them today. My buddy George, I think he's listening to the show, coming in from Boston. He's going to bring his kid. I'm going to bring Andy. We're going to have a good time. I'm very excited.
Shout out George. Hey, tell him to go down to the site of the Boston Massacre and get you one of the Paul Revere mugs. Fucking nice mug. I drink out of it almost every day. I bought that from the museum there at the Boston Massacre site. It's tremendous. All right. It was like $7 too. Yeah, it was great.
This is a good dude. He goes to Japan all the time and he'll buy me shirts and stuff. He's an awesome comic writer. George O'Connor writes good comics.
Oh, cool. Good stuff. Well, hey guys, I did have a few more topics, but we're running over time and BQ is waiting on me. I'm going to be on his YouTube channel here pretty soon. I think he's going to edit the video and probably get it out by tomorrow. And I'll have the audio for you guys over at patreon.com/the Mike and JD show. We're going to kind of do a twofer. So it'll be on his YouTube and the audio will be on our Patreon. So go to patreon.com/the Mike and JD show and head over to the Mike and JD show YouTube channel. And then if you're watching this on the Voices of Wrestling Network, give us a thumbs up and to be a subscriber and comment on the video, as well as share the audio with your friends, especially if you're listening to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. That was a nice little plug we got there. yeah, kudos. All right, guys, I think that is going to do it for JD. You got any parting words for us? Anything going on this weekend?
No. Snow day tomorrow. E-learning. I'm off work. It's great.
Oh yeah.
I'm very happy that you guested on Superhero Speak this week. We had a great show. I had a blast having you on. Well, our other show, you did a great job. We talked about the Iron Claw, and you super impressed Dave. So that was cool.
I told my stocking stuffer joke. I was like, that's a. And so if you guys want to see that, it's on our YouTube, by the way, in our live section, Superhero Speak, and then go check out Dave's channel, Superhero Speak. JD's on there every week, so good stuff. All right, guys, I think that's gonna do it for us. And I'll be on. Check out BQ Speaks. I'll be on there here pretty soon. All right, until next time, mahalo.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. Ain't made no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This isn't A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. Ain't made no rain from the track when we.
Hola, my name is Ricardo. I am the host of the Lucha Jovers podcast here in the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. We are a Spanish-speaking show dedicated to discussing and analyzing pro wrestling from all across the world. From AEW to CMLL, we talk about American wrestling, Japanese wrestling, and of course, Lucha Libre. if something big happened in the pro wrestling world, we will talk about it. So if you know Spanish or have a friend that knows Spanish or want to practice your lucha libre pronunciations, go listen to the Lucha Jovers podcast right here in the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Nos vemos por ahí.